Majesty, was greater need for thought than now.
Yes, indeed. That's exactly what I was thinking about, yes. Well, what is it? More trouble?
What we might call the old trouble, Your Majesty. It is the matter of Her Royal Highness's wedding. As Your Majesty is aware, the young Prince Simon arrives today to seek her royal hand in marriage. He has been traveling to distant lands and is, as I understand, has not...
Do you mean he hasn't heard anything?
It is a little difficult to put this tactfully, Your Majesty.
Well, do your best, and then afterwards, I'll tell you how you got on.
Well, let me put it this way.
Good way to put it.
The Prince Simon will naturally assume that Her Royal Highness has the customary, so customary as to be, in my opinion, slightly boring.
Not the very word. No.
We'll assume that she has the, as I think of it, almost monotonous.
Oh yes, yes indeed.
He will think that she has, as I think of it, faultily faultless, icily regular, splendidly...
What you are trying to say, in as few words as possible, is that my daughter is not beautiful?
Her beauty is certainly elusive, Your Majesty.
It is. It has eluded me. It has eluded everyone who's seen her.
Well, there it is. One just cannot understand how it could have occurred.
You don't think she takes after me at all, do you? You don't detect a likeness.
Oh, certainly not, Your Majesty.
Good, good. Your predecessor did.
I have often wondered, what happened to my predecessor?
Now you know.
Looking at the bright side, although Her Royal Highness is not, strictly speaking, beautiful,
Not truthfully speaking beautiful.
yet she has great beauty of character.
My dear Chancellor, we are not considering Her Royal Highness's character, but rather her chances of getting married. Look at it from the suitor's point of view. If a girl is beautiful, then it is easy to assume that she has, tucked away inside of her, an equally beautiful character. However, it's impossible to assume that an unattractive girl, however elevated in character, has, tucked away inside of her, an equally beautiful face. That is to say, not by one wants it tucked away.
Quite so, Your Majesty.
Yes. This, however, does not change the fact that the Princess Camilla is quite the nicest person in the kingdom.
Oh, she is indeed, Your Majesty. With the exception, I need hardly explain, of Your Majesty and Her Majesty.
As an adjective for your king, the word nice is ill-chosen. As an adjective for Her Majesty, the word nice is ill-chosen.
Her Majesty the Queen. Talking about Camilla.
As always, my dear, you are right.
This fellow Simon, what's he like?
Nobody has seen him, Your Majesty.
How old is he?
5 and 20, I understand.
Well, in 25 years. He must have been seen by somebody.
Just the fleeting lips.
No, dear.
What I meant, Your Majesty, is that no word of him has reached this country. Save that he has been traveling in distant and dangerous lands,
Really?
and has the attributes and qualities expected of a prince.
Forget that. It is in dangerous lands, you say. Nothing gone wrong with his eyes? Sunstroke or anything? Astigmatism?
Not that
Eye patch?
Not that I'm aware of, Your Majesty. At the same time, as I was venturing to say to His Majesty, that her character and disposition are so outstandingly...
No. Stuff and nonsense. You remember what happened when we had the tournament of love last year? Oh wait, you hadn't come here yet. Well, before the tournament, all the princes rode out to Camilla to pay their homage. It was the first time they'd seen her. The heralds blew their trumpets and announced that she would marry whichever prince was left master of the field, but all but one had been unhorsed. The trumpets were blown again. They all charged enthusiastically into the fight. And what happened? They all, simultaneously, fell off their horses and assumed a posture of defeat.
One of them was not quite so quick as the others. I was very quick. I proclaimed him the victor.
At the feast of betrothal held later that evening,
We were all very quick,
yes,
but especially me.
no, here. The chancellor at that time announced that the successful suitor had to pass through the test. He had to give the correct answer to a riddle. I invented the riddle myself. Quite easy, was it? Listen. What is it which has 4 legs and barks like a dog? The answer is, of course, a dog! You see that?
Yes, Your Majesty.
It isn't difficult.
He, however, seemed to find it so. First he said, an eagle. Then he said, a serpent. A very high mountain with slippery sides. 2 peacocks. A moonlit night. The day after tomorrow.
Nobody could accuse him of not trying.
I did.
Well, what I should have said, I meant to say, was that nobody could fail to recognize in his manner a marked appearance of doggedness. The day after tomorrow, indeed.
Finally he said, death. Oh, death. I know the king.
I rubbed my ankle with one hand, clapped him on the shoulder with the other, and congratulated him on the correct answer. He disappeared under the table, and personally, I never saw him again.
It does seem so strange, Your Majesty, that Her Royal Highness, alone of all the princesses one has ever heard of, should lack that invariable quality of royalty, extreme beauty.
That was your great Aunt Malkin. She came to the christening, you know what she said.
It was cryptic. Great Aunt Malkin's besetting weakness.
Camilla's other godmother, on my side of the family, I might add, had promised her all the dazzling beauty for which all the women in my family are famous.
Oh, yes, Your Majesty.
But great Aunt Malkin said, I give you, no, dear, I haven't I give you, what were the words, dear?
I give you with this kiss a wedding day surprise, where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. Right, quite nice, really. But what it meant.
You can all see what it meant. Camilla was given great beauty, and where is it? Great Aunt Malkin took it away from her. The wedding day surprise is that there will never be a wedding day.
The Princess Camilla.
Hello, darling. Oh, I say, affairs of state. Sorry.
Oh, no, don't go, Camilla, please sit down.
Shall I withdraw, Your Majesty?
You are aware, Camilla, that Prince Simon arrives today?
Oh, he has arrived. They're just letting down the drawbridge.
The ride, I'm almost.
Darling, you know what the drawbridge is like. It takes at least a half an hour to let it down.
It wants oil. Yes, oil. Have you been dreading it oil?
It wants a new drawbridge, darling.
By Your Majesty's permission.
You've told him, of course. It's the only chance.
I know. I was just about to chicken.
Then I better tell him now. I'll go get the girls so we can explain things to her. You've told Camilla, of course.
No! I was just about to in the other thing.
Well, then you better tell her now.
My dear, are you serious?
It's the only chance we have left. My gosh.
Mother?
I did. Now, Camilla, I want to talk to you very seriously about marriage.
Yes, Father.
It's time we learn some of the facts of life.
Yes, Father.
Now, the great fact about marriage is that once you are married, you will live happily ever after. All of our history confirms this.
And your experiences too, darling?
Let's confine ourselves to history for the moment. The point is, it doesn't matter how you marry, or even who you marry, so long as you get married. Because you will live happily ever after in any case. You follow me so far?
Yes, Father.
Excellent. Good. Yeah. Now, your mother and I have a little plan that involves your waiting maid.
Darling, I have several.
Only one that leaps to the eye, so to speak.
Dulcibella?
Yes, that's the one. Now, your mother and I's a little plan that at the first meeting, she would pass herself off as the princess. A harmless ruse of which you will find frequent record in all of the history books. And then she would allure Prince Simon to, well, actually, let me say that is she, in other words, the wedding will take place shortly afterwards and as quietly as possible. And since you will be wearing the family bridal veil, the surprise after the ceremony will be his. Surprise! Are you following me at all, dear? Your attention seems to be wandering.
I was wondering why you needed to tell me.
Oh, well, just as a precaution, in case you happen to meet the prince, or his attendant, or his horse before the ceremony. In which case, you would, of course, pass yourself off as the maid.
A harmless ruse of which also you will find frequent record in the history books.
Exactly. But the occasion need not arise.
Her Majesty the Queen and the woman Dulcibella.
And now, Camilla, dear, if you retire to your chambers, I'll come to you when you're ready for the actual ceremony. Good idea. Come in, my dear, come in. Come on in, my dear. Don't be frightened. There's no need to be frightened. Has Your Majesty told you what you must do?
Yes, Your Majesty. Well, then let's see how well you can do it, shall we? You're sitting here, we will say. I sit here. Sit here. Sit here. Thank you. Now, imagine, as difficult as this may be, that His Majesty is the handsome Prince Simon. You are the beautiful Princess Camilla, whom he has never seen. This is a serious moment in your life, and you will find that a giggle will not be helpful.
I have announced His Royal Highness Prince Simon.
Remember what I said about giggling? No giggles.
You should have a faraway look on your face. Farther than that. No, that's too far. You are sitting there thinking beautiful thoughts in maiden meditation, fancy-free, but with the mouth definitely shut. Much better. I advance and fall upon one knee.
You extend your hand graciously. Graciously, you're not trying to push him in the face.
Simon. Go on, say it.
Oh, Prince Simon!
No, no! You don't have to shout until he has said what 2 or 3 times. Softly, and giving the words a dying fall, letting them play around his head like a flight of doves. Yes, a flight of doves.
Ooh, Prince Simon! When you speak, dear, try to keep in your mind the idea of a flight of doves rather than a flight of panic-stricken elephants. Or, let's try to get at it another way. Dulcibella, have you a young man of your own?
Oh, yes! His name is Egg. He's an archer. Well, one as you might say, a real archer. He works in the armory, but the captain of the guard says the very next man they ever has to shoot my Egg shall take his place. Knowing father and how it is with Egg and me, and we can't get married until he's a real soldier, but ever so loving and funny like, the things he said, I said to him once, Egg, I said,
I rather fancy, Dulcibella, that if you think of this egg all the time, say as little as possible, and see to it when thinking of egg that the mouth is no more than partially open, you shall do very well. Now we'll show you where you ought to sit and wait for His Royal Highness.
Is that scene taken? Oh, you're sitting there. I'm sorry. Hello.
Ought you?
Do sit down, won't you?
Who are you and how did you get in here?
That's rather a long story. Couldn't we sit down first? You may sit here if you like, but it isn't very comfortable.
That's the king's throne.
Oh, is that what that is?
Thrones aren't meant to be comfortable.
I don't know if they're meant to be, but they certainly aren't.
Why were you sitting in the king's throne and who are you?
My name is Carlo.
Mine is Dulcibella.
Good. And now couldn't we sit down?
You may sit here, if you like.
Oh,
Why are you so tired?
I've been taking very strenuous exercise.
Is that part of the long story?
It is.
Oh, good. I love stories.
This isn't a story, really. You see, I'm attending on Prince Simon, who is visiting here.
Oh, I'm an attendant on Her Royal Highness.
So you know what he's here for. She's very beautiful, I hear.
Did you hear that? Where have you been lately?
Traveling in distant lands with Prince Simon.
Well, all the same, I don't understand. Is Prince Simon in the palace now? The drawbridge can be dropped down yet.
I don't suppose it is. What a noise it makes coming down. Couldn't stand it anymore. Just had to get away. That's why I'm here.
But how?
Well, there's only one way, isn't there? That beech tree. And then a swing, and a grab for the battlements, and don't ask me to remember it all.
You mean you crossed the moat by that beech tree? But it's terribly dangerous.
That's why I'm so tired. Nervous shock.
Of course, it's different for me.
Say that again? I must have gotten it wrong.
It's different for me because I'm used to it.
You don't mean that you...
Oh yes, often.
And I thought I was a brave man. At least I did, until a minute ago.
Oh, but you are, and I think it is wonderful that you did it straight off the first time.
Well, you did.
Oh no, not the first time. When I was a child.
You mean that you crashed?
You only fall into a moat.
Only? Can you swim?
Of course! There's a way of getting up from this side too. A tree grows from the wall,
No, don't look so surprised. There are a lot of things which I can't do. I'll tell you about them as soon as you have a couple years to spare.
You can't swim, and yet you crossed the moat by the beech tree? Now who's brave? Did you get hurt at all?
A small splinter from my death grip on the beech tree. Besides that, I'm perfectly sound.
I'm quite good with splinters. May I have a look? Oh, it's really in there. There. Got it.
You're very lovely. Do you know how lovely you are?
Yes.
And why do you laugh?
Well, it's a private joke of mine.
If it comes to that, I've got a private joke too. Let's exchange them.
Mine's very private. Only one other woman in the whole world knows, and that's all.
Mine's just as private. Only one other man knows, and that's all.
Oh, what fun. I love secrets. Well, here's mine. When I was born, one of my godmothers promised that I should be very beautiful.
How right she was.
But the other one said this: I give you with this kiss a wedding day surprise, where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. And nobody knew what it meant, and I grew up very plain. And then, when I was about 10, I met my godmother in the forest, and she told me what her gift meant. It meant that I was beautiful, but everybody else to think me plain until my wedding day. That's why I'm like this. But she said the best thing in the world was to be quite sure of herself, and not to expect admiration from other people. So ever since then, my mirror has told me I'm beautiful, and everybody else thinks I'm ugly. And I get a lot of fun out of it.
Well, seeing as Dulcibella is the result, I can only say that your godmother was very, very wise.
Now tell me your secret.
It isn't such a pretty one. You see, Prince Simon was going to woo Princess Camilla, and he heard that she was beautiful and haughty and imperious. All he would have been if your godmother hadn't been so wise. And being a very ordinary-looking fellow himself, he thought that she wouldn't think much of him. So he suggested to one of his attendants, a man called Carlo, of extremely attractive appearance, that he should pretend to be the prince and win the princess's hand, and at the last moment they would change places.
But how would they do that?
The prince was going to have been married in full armor, with his visor down.
Oh, what fun.
Neat, isn't it?
Oh yes, very, very.
Neat, but not so terribly funny. Why do you keep laughing?
Well, that's another secret.
If it comes to that, I've got another one up my sleeve. Shall we exchange again?
All right then, but you go first.
Very well. I am not Carlo. I am Simon. Ow!
What is it?
Cramp. Anyway, I'm Prince Simon.
I know.
How did you know?
Well, you told me.
But aren't you to swoon or something?
Why? History reports many similar ruses.
Is that so? I've never read history. I thought I was being profoundly original.
Oh no. Now, let me tell you my secret. For reasons very much like your own, the Princess Camilla, who was held to be extremely plain, feared to meet Prince Simon. Is the drawbridge down yet?
Do your people give us a faint surprise cheer every time it gets down?
Naturally.
And it came down about 3 minutes ago.
Ah, and at this very moment, your man Carlo is declaring his passionate love for my maid Dulcibella, which I think is funny. By the way, Dulcibella is in love with a man she calls Egg, so I hope Carlo isn't getting too carried away.
Carlo is married to a girl he calls the Little Woman, so Egg has nothing to fear.
By the way, I don't know if you heard what I said, or as good as I said, that I'm the Princess Camilla.
I wasn't surprised. History, of which I read a great deal, records many similar ruses.
Simon,
Camilla.
you see, you said you're very lovely, and my godmother said that the first person to whom I would seem lovely was the man I should marry. So I knew then that you were Simon, and I should marry you.
I knew directly when I saw you that I should marry you, even if you were Dulcibella. By the way, which of you am I marrying?
When she lifts her veil, it will be Camilla. Until then, it will be Dulcibella.
Then goodbye, Camilla, until you lift your veil.
Goodbye, Simon, until you raise your visor.
His Majesty the King, Her Majesty the Queen, Prince Simon, and Princess Camilla.
Who and what is this? Or more accurately, who and what will this?
My attendant,
you will, with your Majesty's permission, prepare me for the ceremony.
Ah, yes, of course. Welcome.
I think it's one.
Your maid, Dulcimel, is it not, my love? I thought so. She will prepare her Royal Highness.
Ah, yes, indeed. Most important.
I beg your pardon, Your Majesty. But if I have done wrong, I found a gentleman wandering.
Ah, quite right, my dear. Quite right. We've pulled it off.
Have I Your Majesty's permission to put the final test to His Royal Highness?
Is this safe?
Perfectly, my dear. I told him the answer a minute ago. Remember, dog. Proceed, Chancellor. It is my desire that the affairs of my country should always be conducted in a strictly constitutional manner.
By the Constitution of the country, a suitor to Her Royal Highness's hand cannot be deemed successful until he has given the correct answer to a riddle. The last suitor answered incorrectly and thus failed to win his bride.
By sheer coincidence, he was never seen again.
I have now to ask Your Royal Highness if you are prepared for the ordeal.
Absolutely.
I may mention, as a matter possibly of some slight historical interest to our visitor, that by the Constitution of the country, the same riddle is not allowed to be asked on 2 successive occasions.
Exactly. What's that?
This one, it is interesting to recall, was propounded exactly a century ago, and it must be taken as a fortunate omen that it was well and truly solved.
I may want my sword directly.
The riddle is this. What is it which has 4 legs and mews like a cat?
A dog.
According to the record of the occasion to which I refer, the correct answer would seem to be...
Say something quick.
not dog, but...
Your Majesty, have I permission to speak? Naturally, His Royal Highness could not think of justifying himself on such an occasion, but perhaps, with your gracious permission, I could?
Oh, yes, of course.
In our country, we have an animal to which we have given the name dog, or in the more mountainous districts, doggy. It sits by the fireside and purrs.
That's right. It purrs like anything.
When it needs milk, which is its staple food, it mews.
Mews like nobody's business.
It also has 4 legs.
1 at each corner.
In some countries, I understand this animal to be called a cat. In one distant country, to which His Royal Highness and I penetrated, it was called by the very curious name of hippopotamus.
That's right. Do you remember that ginger-colored hippopotamus which used to climb onto my shoulder and lick my ear?
I shall never forget it, sir. So you see, Your Majesty.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, I think that makes it all perfectly clear. You are about to agree.
Undoubtedly, Your Majesty. May I be the first to congratulate His Royal Highness on solving the riddle so correctly.
You may be the first to see that all is in order for an immediate wedding.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Oh, doubtless, Prince Simon. You wish to retire and prepare yourself for the ceremony.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
Have I Your Majesty's permission to attend His Royal Highness? It is the custom of this country for princes of the royal blood to be married in full armor, a matter which requires a certain adjustment.
oh, of course, yes. Oh, young man, you have a quality of
after the ceremony?
Of course, yes. Well, and now, young woman, make yourself scarce. You've done your job excellently, excellently. And we will see to it that you and your... What was his name?
Egg, Your Majesty!
Ah, yes, yes. That you and your egg are not forgotten.
Phew!
Wait for me, Dulcibella.
Well, my dear, we may congratulate ourselves. As I remember saying to someone once, you have not lost a daughter, you've gained a son. How does he strike you?
Fairly stupid.
I thought they made a very handsome pair, you and Dulcibella.
Well, they're both stupid.
I said nothing about stupidity. What I said was that they were both extremely handsome. And that is the important thing. Or isn't it?
And how do you like Prince Simon, Camilla?
I adore him. I think we shall be very happy together.
Of course he will be, like I told you, happily ever after.
Run along now. Get ready, Fiona.
Yes, Mother. Talk, talk.
My dear, is it possible we've been wrong about Camilla all this time? It seemed to me that she wasn't looking quite as plain as usual. Did you notice anything?
It must just be the excitement of the marriage, I suppose.
Ah, yes, that would account for it. Prepare for the wedding.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today. Marriage, that blessed arrangement, that dream with him a dream. And love, true love, will follow you
And they lived happily?
Ever